So right now, the Earth engine is amazing at telling you where forests are currently. And with the climate simulations, we know where they want to go in the future under climate change scenarios. But how are they going to get there? I'd like to advocate for putting data sets of animal dispersal into the Earth engine. So animals are key for dispersing seeds, as we all know, but they're also very key for moving nutrients across concentration gradients and microbes. So key for understanding disease modeling and how productive our future ecosystems are going to be. Obviously, to put a data set like this in the Earth engine, you need to have a global data set. But most animal dispersal isn't known on a species level. However, what we can do is we can actually predict species dispersal because we have good range map data for all species, for all mammal species, bird species, fish species. And with mass-based scaling, so basically we can predict how much an animal will need to eat, how far it moves in a day, how its gut passage time. So everything we need to be able to predict, if you know the size of an animal, how far it'll disperse seeds, microbes, nutrients over the landscape. So this is just an example of a data set that I think we could incorporate and could be useful. This in particular is for nutrient movement for animals. So basically, how far they're going to transport nutrients across concentration gradients. And I think this would be quite useful in collaboration with remote sensing scientists. It's kind of a bit of a missing data set right now that I'd like to incorporate. But interestingly, we could also look to the past. So basically, how did the world look in the past with range maps of extinct animals, and how are nutrients dispersed in the past? And I think this would be a fantastic educational tool as well. So basically what you could do is, at any point on the planet, you can click on it and find out what species exist there now, what species existed there in the past, and what were the ecosystem services of these animals? How were nutrients distributed, seeds distributed? And it's also a tool for the future. If we decide if threatened species suddenly go extinct, how will that affect future ecosystem services? If we decide to reintroduce certain animals, how will that affect these similar ecosystem services? And this problem may seem somewhat quaint compared to something like climate change, but we are approaching a point of peak phosphorus, where we're actually slowly running out of phosphorus. And of course, phosphorus is a key component of our fertilizer. So we need to come up with a system where we increase the amount of phosphorus recycling on the planet. So what I'd like to see incorporated is actually range maps of animals and how they recycle phosphorus. So here's an example of some previous work where nutrients are moved from the ocean's depth to the continental interior through whale migration, migratory fish, and dispersal by land mammals. If we could actually have these range maps on land, we could quantify the phosphorus recycling, and this would encourage conservation.
Are these data collected from which sources are you using for migrations or
Yeah, basically, it's just range maps and species average biomass data. So basically, how much they weigh, and you basically model the rest.